Welcome to the Storyteller's Mind Movie Makers. Hosted by Melissa Reaves, this podcast explores the art and science of stories that are felt, not just told. Ready to turn your message into superpower and ignite impact? Let's dive in on today's episode.
Well, hello, Mind Movie Makers. It's Melissa, and we're back with another week to talk about the science of the art form of storytelling. So, thank you. I got a lot of really great feedback from people who listened to our last episode about scar stories versus wound stories. It's a very important subject matter. And I used a lot of personal stories that might affect a person. I used more, instead of work stories, I used more like divorce stories, loss of someone that they love, something that can be really sad and traumatic in those kind of grieving ways. And they are very rich, but they are oftentimes, well, they start off as wounds and then they heal with time, and then they can become scar stories that you're ready to tell. Okay? You're ready to tell because you've let time heal the pain. Okay, just like if you had a cut, it's going to be bleeding, then it's going to scab, and then it's going to scar. Okay, but the scar then becomes a story. We actually use this in improv. We do scar stories from the audience all the time. We ask them to tell us about a scar that they have on their body that's not too traumatic, and we always get these great stories, and then we recreate their stories. We're inspired by it in some sort of genre, like we might do it in Shakespeare or make it a musical. It's really fun. So scar stories can also be little sources of humor in your own life as well. Okay, but today I wanted to talk about failure stories. Okay, I think that spins off a little bit. When were moments where you went from being the hero to the zero? All right. When did you mess up? All right. And what did you learn about yourself and as a leader? What did you learn about your own character? Because when we mess up and we try to point the finger at something and we know that three are pointing right back at ourselves, that can hurt. That can sting. You feel like foolish, embarrassed, like, oh, why wasn't I thinking of like that? Like, I can't even believe I fell for that. I got lots of those stories that I've put out online. You can look them up. They're quite funny. And I've got another one, and I want to talk about it because when you as a leader are sharing a failure story, what's happening to the audience? Okay? It's always about the audience. The person or persons that you are sharing this story with of your own mess up, you become human. You become real and relatable. You become magnetic because you're not being false. You're being authentic because you're ready to admit that you have made a mess up, and here's what you learn from it. Okay, so an example of one for mine would be this. Okay, so it's story time from Melissa. Okay. So it's January 2nd, 2019, and I'm on the phone, and I am livid. I mean, I actually have anger tears starting to stream down my face, and the reason being is that I'm actually getting fired. And I'm getting fired from a job that I absolutely hate. I hate it. I HATE underline bold. Like I don't like it. But I've been hitting burnout for a while. I've been in ad tech for almost 20 years, and it's not the same. I've done it. And you can tell that I'm burning out. A client would ask me, like, what's your conversion rate for our ad campaign? I'm like, I don't know. Don't know, don't care. Probably, let me guess, one of our huge competitors is claiming that they're the victor because why? They're probably cheating, right? And I was tired of being the only woman in tech in most rooms. I was tired of mansplaining. I was tired of data dumping on audiences because we would be selling technology and we would have slides that do everything I preach against today. Like we would just data dump on them, and you could just see the audience's eyes just gloss over. And that's hard. Yeah, I mean, they paid really well, and I had a great experience for so long, and I believed in what I was doing. But after a while, when it became everyone was doing it, it was no longer as fun. And all that other stuff I just mentioned started to come up. So when he fires me, it's like a pink slip. to my freedom and I don't know it yet. Now, that's an inciting event to get fired. What am I going to do? At the time, I'm 53 years old, and I have already been kind of interviewing myself, knowing I hated this job, not realizing I hated all of the career at that point. And all the managers who were in the hiring position now because they were rising stars were either Mike, Brian, or Ryan. And they were the same guy, just different plaid shirt, And they were in their early 30s, and they would look at me and know that I could technically, biologically, be their mother. They also knew that I probably wasn't going to go to the sports bar and drink beers with them and talk sports. Like, that's probably not going to happen because I actually have 2 kids in school. I have one in college and I have one that's trying to get out of high school and graduate on time. And so I'm not thinking about the same things that they have. There's a lot that's on my shoulders now at this stage in life. And I'm newly divorced, so that's cool. And anyways, it's a dark time in life, to say the least. So what am I going to do? I'm a mess. I'm an absolute mess. But one of the things that I did like about my work was I did like the presentation part. I did like presenting new ideas, and I was good at that because it was vision stories. And I knew most people couldn't do it. Like, most of them talked in tech speak, and you could see the audience is just losing it. And the data dumping, oh my God, it was driving me crazy. And I had been test driving this whole idea that maybe we should have more storytelling in business presentations. And I started working with Seattle University's business plan competition, and we rolled the idea out, and the students loved it. They absolutely loved it. And so maybe that's something I would like to do full time. And that's what happens when you hit the wall. You come crashing down and you have to pick up the pieces. And an entrepreneur not only picks up the pieces, but they get into their own boat. And my boat was a canoe. And I started this idea, and I created Story Fruition with an idea that I could become an executive storytelling coach, not knowing that would then turn into a workshop facilitator of my own IP, not knowing that would turn into a book and a companion journal, not knowing it'd become an online course that people can purchase. And then it became a podcast. And if you had said to me 7 years ago, when I came up with this idea, when I was in my darkest place, you'll also have an AI where the computer will sound just like you because she's trained in your book. It's going to be awesome. If I had known all that, I wouldn't have been scared at all. But I didn't allow myself to get scared. Even when I wanted to be, I was like, just keep going. And I had a mantra, oars in, be in my boat, trust I'm in the river of life, and just start going where it leads me. And that's how it did. It led me to the book. It led me to the course. Okay. And getting fired actually was the pink slip to my freedom. So if you are right now going through a major career change, there's a lot of people who are, losing jobs in tech, right? And they've got to think about what's next for them. They could go down the regular road and that would be fine. I tried it, right? But some of you might be entrepreneurs. I hear from other entrepreneurs because of the power of using technology that we could be seeing many, many companies that are billing $100 million and it's only 10 people. But they're automating everything. They're using their AI agents to help them create a new thing in the world. So yes, we are losing jobs right now, and it is a dark period. Even more reason for you to be thinking, what is it that you love? Because those will be the stories that you tell. What do you love, and what stories will you tell? And get into your own boat. And yours doesn't have to be a canoe. It could be whatever boat you want. But just trust that the waters will carry you forward. Because it will. All right. That's a failure story. That's a 0 to hero story. There's transformation. I go from a darkness to curiosity to hope to knowing. If I hadn't gotten fired, I wouldn't be doing what I do today, right? So as you're figuring out what your next chapter is in the storybook of life that you're writing, grab a notebook, write down the elements of what you love, what matters to you, what do you value? Because there are new startups coming all the time. And I got to say, the startup energy is really fun. When you have a vision and people are investing in your idea and you're out there explaining something that may not even exist, or it's so broken that everyone's going crazy and you need to be the one that solves the problem of the brokenness, or it's ready for the next level, right? It's ready for the next level and you've got the idea to make it happen. That's exciting, and it all takes storytelling skills. So think about your life. This will be your homework. I want you to think about your life, what you love, what you value, what brings you joy, so that you're not going to work. You're getting up every day with a spring in your step because there's something going on within your own internal storytelling that says, I've got great ideas. I know how to get things done. I'm incredibly organized. I can multitask like there's no one's business, Everyone's going to have unique skills, all right? But those could be pointing you to the next thing. Or it could be enhancing your current thing, but making it even more fun because you're starting to open up that, hey, I'm a walking, talking storybook. Melissa tells me that all the time, because you are. And I'm going to think about my own stories and I'm going to use them, even if I fail. Because if I tell a fail story, it's going to work for me. Because I'm going to help people realize you're not the only ding-dong in the basket sometimes. I did it too. And then maybe you'll even prevent them from going through their own adventure in learning who they are, maybe a little easier. Maybe you'll make it a little smoother for them because you were able to give them a little runway of understanding because you told a great story about your own failures. So I even will leave this. Are there failures, or are they just ways not to make a light bulb? That's what Thomas Edison said. I learned 999 ways of how not to make a light bulb. I'm probably paraphrasing, but something like that. I've always liked it. So that's it. I want you to think about that. And then don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to think that through and then use the tools I'm teaching you. Go get the book if you don't have it, but learn that story is you. Where are you? Where are you in life? How old are you? You're the character. What's your state of mind? You saw in mine, I was like pissed, angry, hurt, upset. And then I go to curious. So we want to see the journey of your transformation. And then characters show up in your story. And how do they help lead your journey? Okay, have fun with that. Those are good stories to put in your library. All right, until the next episode. We will be here thinking about stories, telling stories, and hopefully you are too. So tell your stories. And tell them well. All right.
Thank you for joining the Storyteller's Mind Movie Makers. To build your story library and turn lived experiences into unforgettable mind movies, subscribe, leave a comment or review, and share this podcast. For fast, reliable support and coaching, subscribe to Missy AI, our AI storytelling coach available at storyfruition.com. And don't forget to follow @StoryFruition on YouTube and Instagram for more storytelling tips and live coaching. Thank you for listening. Until next time, keep crafting, keep sharing, and remember, tell your stories and tell well.